Exactly. I just think that you need to do something. It's not necessarily have to be, the strategy of debt settlement. It could be some other type of process. But in your situation, you're limited because, again, we talked about before, you have about $68,000 in debt with these 5 cards, right? Okay. And you're paying out on that. We went over your budget, right? And you're paying out $2,040. But you can't afford anything else because we go over your budget, and you're literally living off these credit cards because you're having to pay some of the, exactly, so you're financing your life. So, correct. So in this process, we talked about, how long it's going to take to pay off your credit card debt if you're just making minimum payments. And that's who this process is for. If you're struggling with your minimum payments, if you're behind on your minimum payments, we can use this strategy and implement this strategy for you and be very successful with it and save you a bunch of money. Okay? But understood. But you're in a situation where you can't do that. You can't afford more than your minimum payments. You don't have any money in the bank to pay down your debt, and you're in a job that's your income is fixed. You don't foresee any increase in income. You're not getting any raises in the next year or two. If they are, they're going to be minimal, correct? Yes. So when you put that all on paper and you start looking at it, and if you were to take yourself out of your shoes and just look at this from, if you're looking at someone else's situation, you're in trouble. The debt is overwhelming with the amount of money you make, with the lack of money you have in the bank, and with the inability to pay more towards the minimum payments, or more than the minimum payments towards the debt. You need to do something. And when you look at a process and a strategy like debt settlement, you're going to be able to set aside on a monthly basis almost half of what your current payment is. So actually it's about $1,200 a month. So you're saving $800. At the age right now, you're 54, correct? Okay, so at 54, if you stay in the current situation you're in, if you stop using the credit cards and you just struggle to make that minimum payment, it's going to take you 22 years to pay off your debt. And that's by looking at your Bank of America and your Chase and your Wells Fargo and your other Chase account. Just looking at those credit cards, we looked at the minimum payment warning on it, and we averaged out about 22 years, right? Okay, so at that point, you're going to be 76 years old, and you're going to pay 3 times the amount of what you currently owe towards these debts if you stay in the same situation as you're in. Or we can look at an option and a strategy like debt settlement, where you're going to be out of the debts in 48 months. We're going to go through the strategy process of, exactly. And so at 48 months, which is 4 years, you'll be 58 years old. You're now looking at a difference of, 18 years that you have the ability of rebuilding yourself. You have the ability of, getting your credit back and rebuilding that. But you also have the ability of not spending the way that you have been to get to this point and not financing your life. Just imagine, just visualize yourself. You've been in this debt, like you said, 12 years. If I were to go back 4 years from today and you started this program, we'd be talking today, or we probably wouldn't be talking today, but you'd be completely debt-free. You wouldn't have any of these payments on a monthly basis. Just visualize and feel how that would feel.